Hey. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is another rousing episode of Urban Politics. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music, and I appreciate you for being here with me today. We're going to get right into it like a car in drive. You know what I'm saying? No need to wait or to hesitate or none of that good stuff. And get right into it. I want to thank all the people who've been checking out the show, who watch the show. I see people all the time when I'm out and about at the grocery store or whatever, and they'll say stuff to me like, yeah, I watch the show every week. You know what I'm saying? I'm subscribed. So as soon as you post a show or whatever, I see it and I can't wait to watch it or whatever. And that's cool. I appreciate that. Feel free to comment. I get comments from people all the time. I appreciate people who comment. Those who haven't commented yet, comment. Say something, good or bad, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy. Let me know that you're out there checking me out and digging the show and digging what I'm doing. Without further ado, I'm going to get right into it like a car and drive because there's a whole lot to talk about in the news. So let's just go ahead and get started with the hot topic, infrastructure. Joe Biden said that he's tired of ordinary people getting fleeced, referring to the corporate tax rate going up. It's going from 21% to 28%. I've talked about this before on the show, but it bears talking about again because this infrastructure bill, a lot of people are upset about what I would call a broadening of the definition of infrastructure. And we'll get into that a little bit more as I go on here, but check out what's going on. Once again, Joe Biden says he's tired of ordinary people getting fleeced, referring to the new corporate tax rate, which is going up from 21% to 28%. Business leaders wish it was 25%. They were saying that's where they feel most comfortable with it being at. Isn't that interesting? Now, there's a time, and you can look this up. I would actually impress upon you to Google it after you watch this fine program here and Google what the tax rate has been under some of our other presidents, because through history the corporate tax rate has been as high as 35%. And I'm not even going to throw out some names of some presidents that I think it was that high under, because off the top of my head I'm not sure if I'm right or not. So I would press upon you, Google that information, but it would surprise you why these guys go on and on about how 28% is a high corporate tax rate. There's plenty. The corporate tax rate has been as high as 35% under some other presidents, and they did that because it helps them to have revenues to get things done that we need done in this country. Anyway, moving on. Business leaders, like I said, wish it was 25%. He slammed Trump's corporate tax rate cuts, saying that it mostly only benefited the ultra wealthy. We all know that. Said he was open to negotiating the corporate rate, but inaction is simply not an option. So he said, he's open to talking to corporate America, about the rate and where it's going to land at. I like 28%. Like I said, it could be higher than that. They wanted it 25%. Maybe they'll negotiate and come to like 26, 27%, whatever. But it needs to go up because we need revenues to get things done around here in America. This plan, and this is why we need to go up right here. This plan would boost transportation infrastructure, home care services, housing, and broadband, as well as pipes and electrical grids. They see it as a way to cement and expand the Democratic coalition. There right there is why I guess it's a double-edged sword. It'll do all these good things. Now, a lot of people are saying, does broadband fall into infrastructure? A lot of people, when they think of infrastructure, all they think about is highways and bridges. That's it. Highways, bridges, maybe some building type stuff, federal building, stuff like that. But they think that's probably where it should stop. He's throwing a lot of things in this bill, this $1.9 trillion, and he's calling it infrastructure. Now, I agree with Joe Biden. I am liberal. This is a liberal place that Joe Biden's coming from with this anyway, saying that all of these things are a part of infrastructure. Home health care, child care, all of that's a part of infrastructure because the people are a part of infrastructure and the well-being of people is a part of keeping that infrastructure sound. I agree with that. Of course, there's plenty of people who don't agree with that, think the infrastructure should stop at bridges and roads. So that's what's going on when you hear people, kind of coming against some of this stuff or coming against this plan in general. Like I said, he said he was open to negotiation, but inaction is simply unacceptable, and I agree with that. Yes, this plan would boost transportation infrastructure, home care services, housing, broadband, as well as pipes and electrical grids. They do see it as a way to cement and expand the Democratic coalition. These are plans, once you put them in place, they're in place. And when people look through the history books, who put them in place? The Democratic Party. So boom, there it is. Are they trying to cement it? Of course they are. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, they are. It is what it is, but I mean, these things need to happen. We've needed these things in America for a long, long time. The White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, she said basically it's essentially a jobs bill, and I agree. That's what it is, a jobs bill. Think of all these different things that they want to do. This stuff takes people to do it, and they're going to have to get paid. These are good government jobs. They're going to pay people a good wage. We'll go back to a time I would say, the 60s, 70s in this country where people were able to come out of high school and get a job that could take care of a family of 3, a family of 4, or whatever, and they could retire from that and have a good life. And they didn't have to go to college and get a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year degree. Maybe we can go back to that if we have some of these programs. So it's a jobs program. I agree with that. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, now he's our transportation secretary, if you forgot. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg spoke about people mad about the changing of the definition of the word infrastructure. He said, if it's good policy, vote on it and call it whatever you like. I agree with Mr. Buttigieg. If it's good policy, vote on it and call it whatever you like. Call it a ham sandwich. I don't care. It's good policy. Go ahead and vote on it. Go ahead and get it passed. Let's go ahead and get it in action. These are things that America needs, and then we can employ Americans to do them. Therefore, there are good government jobs that pay a good wage, and we can get back to some good times in this country. Amen to that. The GOP thinks it's too bloated and refuses to support it. Who is surprised about that? Is anybody surprised that the Democratic president came up with a good idea and the GOP doesn't support it? These guys, all they do is play politics. And don't get me wrong, the left, they play just as much politics as the right. But it's something about the way the right does it. And I mean, goodness gracious, when it's some things that's really going to help America, really going to help people, it just blows me away how quick they are to stand up against it. I'm like, where do they... I don't understand how that goes down. How do you shave when you can't look at yourself in the mirror? But somehow these guys, they sleep well at night on a bed of cash. They sleep well at night, and they come up against these policies that directly help the American people. What do you think you were sent there on Capitol Hill to do? Anyway, so I agree with him on that. You know what I'm saying? The GOP is not going to support it, so the only way that it'll pass is going to be through budget reconciliation. For that, you have to have a simple majority, or you just need a simple majority, but all 51 Democrats have to be on board for that. Don't sleep on that, because there's a lot of Democrats, well, not a lot, but there's a couple, I won't even say their names, but there's a couple, literally 1 or 2 Democrats who are kind of using that to their benefit. There's a male and a female. I'll leave it at that. I might talk about it in another show. I think I've actually referred to the one gentleman on a previous show. But this guy and this gal, they're kind of playing that for all it's worth on the Democratic side. Because you have to think, the Democrats do have the entire House, right? That's 50 votes. 51 if it comes down to that deciding vote, which is Miss Kamala Harris. But here's the thing. If you don't have all 50 of those Democrats, then you don't have unison, then you can't, it's not an easy road to whatever bill or whatever policy you're trying to pass. So if you have 1 or 2 of them who are like, I don't know if I'm giving my vote to that, then you're dead in the water. And they understand that. You know what I'm saying? Politics is all about the numbers. And they're using the fact that their numbers are, the linchpins of these whole things. So there's that. So that's why they add that caveat in the end. It takes all of them being on board. Let's hope and pray that all of them are on board for some of this good stuff that Joe is trying to do. Moving on, I want to talk about Mr. Biden a little bit more. Because he is the president and this is urban politics. He unveiled a $1.5 trillion budget. What's in it? Great programs. Check this out. Social programs. 40.8% increase for education. That's huge right there. I impress upon everybody as I have in recent years of this show to go and look at the platforms of the 2 parties that we're forced to basically vote for in our politics in this country. Look at the Democratic you know what I'm saying, platform, and look at the Republican platform. If you look at the Republican platform, they have basically abandoned education. Their whole thing is we've thrown tons of money at it. It hasn't helped. It doesn't do the job. We're just done trying. I'm not making that up. You can go read it for yourself. If it has changed, or somebody who sits on the right wants to object to something I said, once again, you are in the pushback zone. Please feel free to push back. But real life, I done read both of them platforms, and I read them thoroughly. And Republicans have basically abandoned education. They've said whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're done with that. Which I was like, wow. Education, that's how we educate the youth. We need an educated society. Without an educated society, then you have idiots. Idiots are easy to control. Is that what you want? Anyway, you ask yourself that question when you read these two platforms. But my point is, 40.8% increase in education, that's huge. We need that. That's major right there. There's going to be increase for the EPA. That's the Environmental Protection Agency. You know what I'm saying? The Environmental Protection Agency. We need that. The EPA, they're the people who make it so that the air is good to breathe. You know what I'm saying? So that the water is okay to drink. They do that stuff. So we need them. They're getting a boost. They need it. The National Science Foundation. We need that. Man, all our museums and all those different projects they have, you know, the Human Genome Project and all that other stuff, that comes out of that, man. The government needs to be funding that. We need that. The arts, the sciences, we need that. That's where we get our young inventors, our young creators, our young scholars, our young poets, our poet laureates. They come, you know what I'm saying, for making investments in this type of stuff. So that's good that that's going on. A 1.7 increase in defense spending. Hey, some of these guys out here, some of you military buffs, some of you defense buffs, you got to be jazzed about that. $1.7 million he putting into defense. All this other big liberal stuff he doing, but he said, guess what? You defense guys, I know you want some bread. He's throwing some bread out there too. You know what I'm saying? He said he's putting also programs to reduce racial inequalities in housing, mental health, and policing. Come on now. Come on now. Putting money into the... When is the last time that anybody, it's, you know, besides the president, was going to put some money into racial inequalities in housing, mental health, and policing? These are all things that we need. I'm sure that Mr. Barack Hussein Obama tried to do some of these things, but he was met with a lot more opposition than Mr. Biden will be. But I'm going to tell you what, and that was for a number of different reasons. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's refreshing to have a president say, hey, I'm directly laser focused on going after these things with all this money that I'm making it rain with on the nation. Moving on. Let's talk about some of the money that my home is getting. Franklin County will get $20 million in federal funds to combat homelessness. That is huge. We do have a lot of homeless around here. If you ever been in like Cosi or other little places downtown and such like that, you will see a lot of our homeless here in Columbus, Ohio, here in Franklin County. So it's great that we're getting $20 million in federal funds to combat that. They said skyrocketing rents make it harder for families to get housing and get out of the shelter. Columbus will get $16.4 million. Franklin County will get $3.16 million. Part of a $204 million slated for the state of Ohio and other local governments. The money comes from $5 billion in money from the $1.9 trillion Corona relief package. Oh my goodness. Come on now. Yes, so that's huge right now. Or no, I tell you that. They said the $5 billion comes from the American Rescue Plan, which is a part of the $1.9 trillion Corona relief package. Let me get that right. So basically, Mr. Biden is making it rain all over the country. And that's how he's making it rain on Franklin County right there. And I thank him. And I thank them. These are things that we need. This same type of stuff is going on all over America with this $1.9 trillion. You know what I'm saying? I live in Franklin County, so of course this is what they sending to me in the news, so I'm reporting it to you. But it's going on everywhere. That's where your liberal dollars are going. That's what's up. Check this out. Cleveland will get $17.7 million. Cincinnati will get $9.9 million. The state of Ohio itself is receiving $91 million. And it can be used for rent assistance, affordable housing, supportive services. The funds must be spent by 2030. Government always does that. They giving you money. Hey, they like, if you ain't using it, then you can go ahead and give it back because you obviously don't need it. That's why a lot of times in the different places you may live, you may see a lot of road work going on. And you're like, they don't need to be doing no road work. But they got to do that road work because they got to spend up those government funds. If they don't spend them up, they'll get less the next year. That makes sense. Federal government like, hey, look, if we gave you $12 million and you only spent $10 million, maybe you only needed $9 million. That's all we'll give you next time. So I understand why states do what they do. We do the same thing as the games that all these places play, but it is what it is. They said it can be used to convert hotels to homeless housing and housing for coronavirus issues. That is major right there too. Housing for coronavirus issues. There's plenty of people out there who done got coronavirus, have, you know what I'm saying, lost their jobs or whatever, or having housing issues now. This can help with that. Talking about hotels into homelessness housing. I had heard a while ago, we have some hotels around here that I guess had some shady activities going on in them back in the day. And they had closed those hotels down. And I'd heard that they were going to turn those into youth housing. Because we do have some, you know what I'm saying, unfortunately, we do have a significant population of youth here in Columbus, Ohio that's homeless. That's sad. I know that firsthand. I used to work at a place called Star House. I've talked about it on the show before, that housed nothing but homeless teenagers. And it stayed full, okay? So there's that. But I heard that they were going to take some of these hotels and knock them down and make them housing for these homeless youth that we have. Hopefully this money will go to making that happen. Watch this space. Believe that your boy will report on it because that's something near and dear to my heart. Anyway, moving on. And this speaks more to that. They said they want to look beyond shelters and get into get people into long-term housing. Now check out these statistics. Columbus lost 20,000 units for poor people due to rents increasing in recent years. There were 10,655 homeless people during a point in time count done on January 2020. Another one done in 2021 found that 1,201 people in homeless shelters. So that means, I guess, what they do is in any given point of the year, they just pick a day, boom, out the year. And in this one day that they picked in 2020, there were 10,655 homeless people. Woo, that's a lot. On that day, for whatever reason. It was one day. You know what I'm saying, in 2020. So then again, they did it again in 2021. And boom, they picked one day out. And in this one day, there were 1,201 people in homeless shelters. That's a lot less people. You know, but these are just random days where they, boom, it's a point in time count. You know, that just means that we're just going to pick a random day out this year and boom, what's going on this day? So we never know what was going on these 2 days because, I mean, that's a huge gap to me. I'm like 10,000 versus 1,000. That's a lot. So, you know what I'm saying? But I have no idea what times these might have been or what was going on. But the point is, even 1,201 people in homeless shelters is too many. You know, that's still 1,200 people who don't have a place to call their own, who are still, you know, kind of living on the streets or whatever till they find their way to this homeless shelter. So even that is too many. So that is what it is, you know what I'm saying? So something for you to rattle around in your little brain. Moving on. There was an officer who was fired for doing the right thing. I say that because if you ask me, this sister right here, what she did is she prevented another George Floyd story. Right, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk about Miss Carol Horn, but that's what she did. She prevented another George Floyd. Now, unfortunately, a lot of y'all probably haven't heard about this story. I remember seeing a little bit of coverage of this story and then it went away and I hadn't seen it again, but then it came back up because, you know what I'm saying, they gave her flowers. finally did right by this sister who did the right thing. But it was interesting because and I'm going to read this story to you and you'll see what I mean. But as you hear this story, all I can think about is George Floyd, because unfortunately there wasn't a person there with the cojones that Miss Horn had here. And once again, what is it? It's a black woman coming to save the day. They've always done it. They always do it. And this one right here, she saved a life. She stopped another George Floyd situation. She stopped another George Floyd story. Had she been there when these cops were doing all their crazy and malicious things to Mr. Floyd, he'd probably still be alive, because this lady right here, wow. So anyway, let's get into it. Basically, officer fired for doing the right thing. That's the title I'm giving this. It ain't the title of the story I read, but check it out. Carol Horn made news in 2006 when she stopped Officer Greg Kwiatkowski from putting a chokehold on a pedestrian named Neil Mack. She said he looked like he was about to die. She said, had I not stepped in, he may have. He was handcuffed and being choked. Mack says she did save his life. That's what he said. Mack says she did save his life. Carol Horn is eligible for back pay until August 4th, so she's getting her money now. At first, they had taken her pension and they fired her because she stepped in and she stopped this Kwiatkowski from putting a chokehold on this guy and killing him. I guess he was in the midst of it and she broke it up and said, hey, you're hurting the guy. This is not how we do things here. And she got in trouble for that at first, but then they had to go back and refute the case. And of course, they were like, no, she should get her pension. Now, all of this happened right before, because it says Carol Horn was eligible, she was about to get her pension right as this happened. I mean, like a couple of months or something before this happened, she was due to get a pension. They fired her, so she wasn't going to get that pension. Of course, she appeals it or whatnot. Take it to court. They rule in her favor, which they should have. Here's what Judge Dennis Ward had to say. In his ruling, he wrote, the city of Buffalo has recognized the error and has acknowledged the need to undo an injustice from the past. He said, the legal system can, at the very least, be the mechanism to help justice prevail, even if belatedly. Now, this right here is my favorite part, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this. He said, while the Eric Garners and the George Floyds of the world never had a chance for a do-over, at least here the correction can be done. Feel them words right there. Coming from a judge. That's coming from a judge. Let me read that again. Like he said, while the Eric Garners and the George Floyds of the world never had a chance for a do-over, at least here, the correction can be done. And that's what's up, man. And that's what he's saying right there. He said, hey, these guys, ain't near one of them got no justice. Ain't none of them got no justice. Let's do the right thing right here. We got a woman who stepped up. She did her job. She stopped another George Floyd from going down. I don't care what anybody says. That's what she did. That's what was going on right there. That guy, Kwiatkowski, had this other brother, Mack, in the chokehold, and was probably, you probably could see the life oozing out of his brother's body. And she stepped up and said, guess what? Blue wall of silence be damned. I'm going to step in and save a life. And that's what she did. Sometimes, and that's what's sad too. Here she is, a cop. So actually, she just did her job. Cops' jobs are to be heroes. I've talked about it on this show before. You know what I'm saying? My son gets into a show. I'm sure there's a lot of other little kids get into the show. Oh my goodness. Let me remember. You know what I'm saying? When they talk about how it's hero time. PJ Masks. And what it is these kids, they go, you know what I'm saying? They go to sleep. But when they're supposed to be asleep, they end up getting up and putting on these outfits, and they go out and they solve crimes. And they got some nemesis who be doing things in the city, and they'll right the wrongs before everybody wakes up or whatever, right? So, and you know what I'm saying? But sometimes we're in the midst of doing that or whatever. There's a lesson to be learned or a lesson that they're teaching, the viewing audience. And, sometimes they'll talk about it and they'll say, time to be a hero. You know what I'm saying? Time to be a hero. And right then, when she seen her brother probably about to have the life squeezed out of him, she said, time to be a hero. She stepped up and not only did her job, she stepped outside herself as a human being. She did something that had to be very uncomfortable for her. Because think about it. She was a cop for a long time. She was this close to retiring and getting her pension, which means she had been doing that job for years. She knew people at the station. She knew this guy. I don't know how long this guy had been her partner, but I'm sure she had some kind of working relationship with this guy. And think about that. With all of that, this sister still had the cojones to step up and save a life, to step up and still be a hero. Time to be a hero. And she answered the call. So that's what's good, man. We all need to take a page out of Carol Horn's book. Sometimes, man, it's time to be a hero. Step up and be a hero, man. Help somebody, save somebody. All right, I'm off that soapbox as far as that goes. And now it's time to talk about my IPA of the week. This one right here is an old school favorite for me. I love this guy right here. And maybe you can see it is Brew Free or Die. Brew Free or Die, you know, and I love this too because look right here, can you see it's got Abraham Lincoln and look, he got hops in his hand, like, oh, he got the hops in his hand, and then you roll around here and it's got some of these other forefathers on the on the bottle or on the can. I love this beer. This IPA is really, really good. It's delicious. It goes down smooth. What can I say? It's a good one. And I really do dig the fact that they got like presidents and such on the can. And it's got this, what's it say, 21st Amendment brewery. I think that's got something to do with like the legalization of alcohol and all of that stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Fun little tidbit. There were a lot of presidents who made beer right in the White House. So I think this is also a nod to some of that. You know, some of these guys probably brewed some beer right in the White House. So, you know what I'm saying? And once again, Google that. That's what's up. So, that's what's good. That's what's hood. Once again, this is another rousing episode of Urban Politics. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm your humble host, FizzEd Music. You can always check me out where? I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm here, I'm there, I'm Big Bad Ed, and I'm everywhere. This is Urban Politics, where politics lives, takes care of its kids, mows its lawn, makes love to its wife. All of the above. So, what can I say? Once again, we'll do it again next week. See you around like a donut.